What's going on, YouTubers? Happy 4th of July, 2014, and welcome to another episode of Supa Retro Geek. And today, we're actually been doing a weekend review. I'll try to do a weekly review of news that's going on in the tech industry, maybe other industries, and I'm gonna pick out stuff that I think is interesting for that week. And for this week of July 4th, there really wasn't much going on, but this week I'm primarily going to focus on wearables and I guess the importance of design. Okay, and so today some big news came out that Apple actually recruited one of the top sales exec from Tag Heuer, and I guess his name is John Claude Vivier. So if this doesn't tell you that Apple isn't preparing an iWatch or some type of wearable, I don't know what does it. I mean, they've been recruiting a lot of people outside of the watch industry, but this is a big one because it's actually somebody inside the watch industry and from a big name, by the way. So it'll be interesting to see what Apple will bring to the table when it comes to wearable. But as far as right now, Android is where it's going to be at in the near term for wearables. And The Verge actually had their first, once this page loads up, they actually had the first review of the two wearables that are currently available right now, the Samsung Gear Live and the LG G Watch. And so these are the first real wearables using the new version of, I guess, a different version of Android, which is Android Wear. So, to make a long story short, they didn't give it such great reviews. The Gear Live got a 6.8, and the LG G Watch got a 6.6. And some of the things that they've listed they didn't like was the weak battery, the hard to see screen, and just a very chunky, bland design. So, which doesn't surprise me because this is really like the first out of the gate. And I know there were other wearables before these came out, but these are the first ones that's going to be using Android Wear. And me personally, I tend to agree with them. I mean, this is what I think about wearables in their current state. I mean, a watch is a watch. That's what you're going to use it for primarily. These two watches, or the current state of the Square wearables, it reminds me of those calculator watches, where it's cool, it has a lot of utility, but would you wear it? Really? And probably not because it's just ugly. So I'm really, really anticipating this right here, the Motorola 360. This thing, you look at these, and then you look at the Motorola 360. There's just absolutely no comparison. That's how a watch should look like. First and foremost, it's a watch, so it's got to look the part. And secondly, is everything else. And so I'm pretty confident with Android where they're going to get where they want to go in terms of the software side of things. But I think Motorola nailed it. I'm really anticipating to see what everybody else does, specifically Apple. And so I'm pretty sure they're going to come up with a bang up design that's very simple and classy. But the 360 knocked it out of the park. I think I will actually wait and buy one because I've never really been interested in the whole wearable thing. Even though the Gear Live 2 is like a 199 and I think the LGG Watch is 229, I wouldn't spend any money on these. But this one, the Motorola 360, even if it's $300, I think I'll buy one just for the simple fact that it's a watch. It's a really good looking watch. Okay. Now, speaking of that, that leads me into my whole design part of it. And I think design, regardless of how awesome or how cool your technology is, the design is sometimes it's just the most important thing. Okay, even versus functionality, form over functionality. And with that, I think HTC want to make the reason I'm talking about this, where they just turn a profit, is I have an HTC One. I have the HTC One M7, and hands down, the best design phone I've ever seen. Um, Even definitely better than the iPhone. the HTC One M7 was, I think, the best designed, best looking Android phone at the time when it came out last year. And when the M8 came out this previous year, I don't think there was a lot of difference, but there were some things that once again set it apart. Besides the fact that it's slippery, I think it's excellent design. Probably definitely my favorite design. And I guess other people agree with it, and so this is the first time in many quarters that HTC has actually been able to um, record a profit, and they actually had a net profit of $92.3 million, which is great. So I'm not sure what this is going to bring for the future because there is a lot of competition. The LG G3 is just released and it's going to be on more carriers. The Galaxy 5 I think is still selling well, and they have a humongous marketing budget. And pretty soon we're going to have the iPhone 6. So I'm not sure what HTC is going to do. I know they just released the cheaper version of the M8, the HTC Ace, M8 Ace, and the HTC M8 Mini is coming out. So I really hope that I'm sorry, the HTC One Mini too. I really hope that HTC doesn't go anywhere and that they'll get sold out to a bigger company, because that I think bar none they're the best designers in the industry. Say what you will about other phones, but I really love the way the HTC One has been designed. So it really makes you feel like, you know what, it was worth my money. It's worth my $500-$600. So I think design is very important, and other companies. I think I'm gonna go back to Apple. I mean, a lot of people bash Apple for a lot of things, but one thing that you got to give them a lot of credit for is their their design. Even though it looks like they've used the same exact design of iPhone and iPads and iPad Airs for years now, there's a reason why. It's there's a certain look, there's a certain aesthetic, there's a certain quality that they maintain. Hopefully, we'll get a new design based upon the prototypes that are seeing for the iPhone 6. It still looks familiar, but it still looks really good. And that's the way I feel about the HTC One. It looks familiar, but it looks damn good. Okay. So finally, outside of wearables and design, I want to talk about Android L. Google I/O 2014 just came out a few weeks ago, and the biggest thing that they talked about was Android L. Um, the preview version just came out, and so it's not actually one that you can use. And one of the features that Google touted was Project Volta, which is increasing your battery life. Now, Ars Technica does a great job when they're actually doing tests, and so they examined the battery life, a preview version, once again on the Nexus 5, and what they were able to find out from their test, this is nits, like the brightness of the screen, of a Nexus 5 on KitKat, and then on the new Android L, the preview, um, the Android L actually got 36% more battery life, which is equivalent to about 2 extra hours of battery life, which is awesome. I mean, I think battery life is one of the most important things that we should have on all smartphones, because it's just a pain in the ass to have to recharge that every single night or have it die when you're out somewhere. So the battery life technology for hardware, it's not there yet, but at least they're able to do things in software. So I'm really excited about this. I know there's an extreme battery saver mode, but since they wanted to do real world tests and not having to go into the extreme mode, they just did one where it would be similar to somebody charging it all day. And let's see how much long it lasts. How much longer that lasts. And 2 hours, that's pretty significant. And that's just a preview version. So I'm looking forward to that. And so that wraps it up for this week's weekly news. Hopefully, after July 4th, we're going to have way more interesting news. Not to say that this wasn't, but there just wasn't a lot of stuff going on. And so, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the 4th of July. I'm out.